Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Kim, and I am a product manager within the alternative assets team, building cap tables specifically curated for LLCs. I've been at Carta for 4.5 years, and during my time, I've had the chance to work directly on our in-house finance team. And then about 3 years ago, pivoted into building product for finance teams and have been doing that ever since. It brings me so much excitement to be able to simplify workflows that I myself once struggled with. And I'm really excited to see the power of automation save hours of work CFOs and finance teams typically do in Excel. So super excited that you're here today and we get to show you our latest distributions tool. Today, I'm also joined by Amanda Dominguez, who leads the technical enablement team, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I work as a technical leader with the Carta Alternative Assets team. I work to connect your feedback, your questions with our delivery team, support and implementations, and also make sure that we're connected with product and make sure that we're building the best for you. And super excited to be presenting today.
Awesome. I want to start off before everything by providing a little bit of context into what we do here at Carta, especially for folks who might not be as familiar. So we're best known in the market for building cap tables, where we streamline workflows involved in managing equity and ownership. We help issue interest to your stakeholders, share documents, track ownership breakdowns for reporting purposes, and so much more. And more importantly, we eliminate the need for storing all of this information in Excel, which you can imagine can quickly get really messy and complicated over time as your company grows. So you might be wondering, how is the cap table software different for LLCs? After talking to dozens of PE firms and private companies, we realized that there was just as strong of a need for a streamlined cap table management tool among LLCs. So we knew we had to build a better solution to the cap table and equity management dedicated to the unique needs of LLCs. We first took Carta's proprietary cap table software that you commonly find in tech industries and expanded it to solve the needs of LLC entities, modeling the cap table using interest and shares, building in complex vesting and performance conditions, and more recently, building out workflows commonly seen in LLCs such as distributions. And on that note, we are so excited to present to you today Carta Distributions, a way to seamlessly manage your distributions process with far less effort and a lot more transparency, and directly from the same platform that houses all your cap table ownership data. And before we dive into the demo, I do want to share a little bit more context on the exact pain points that we set out to solve. After speaking with dozens of existing and prospective customers, we did notice that their distributions was so unique and complex. They had bespoke terms written into their operating agreements that required extreme detail to model precisely into Excel, a wide variety of ways in which you can allocate the distribution's payout amounts, and countless types of ways to issue and model interest. While our customers share the overall pain point of distributions being complex, we knew that we had to design our tool to be flexible enough to handle everyone's specific use cases. Next, we also noticed that due to the complex nature of distributions, it was incredibly difficult to model distributions in Excel without running the risk of manual human error. So the more people you start to involve into this distributions process, whether that be other team members on your finance team, maybe your legal department, and even treasury functions, the greater the risk of human errors, especially if there's no centralized platform that houses all of this information. So with that, we knew that our tool had to really focus on accuracy. And lastly, as most complex and manual workflows are, we saw that calculating and managing distributions was extremely time consuming. Building an Excel formulas and making sure all the cell references are carrying over across tabs each month or quarter usually takes hours of work that could honestly be saved to help teams focus on higher level, more strategic work. So we really wanted our tool to be simple, streamlining all of this headache filled process into a matter of clicks and a few inputs. So there you have it. We focused on really four things in our distribution tool that we hope to show you in our demo. First, we really wanted this to be a connected platform that lives and integrates directly with your cap table, your holder information, and any other relevant information related to that holder's equity that would factor into your distribution calculations. And that way, you can have the full confidence that the payout amounts are indeed accurate. We also wanted it to be transparent. The tool allows you to notify holders in real time as you release a distribution, and your holders will then be redirected to a tab that houses and displays all the historical distributions and any related invested capital to date. We also wanted it to be automated. So with just a few clicks, as you'll see, and a handful of inputs, like the amount of money that you're trying to distribute and what date, and the allocation method, our system then takes it from there and handles the rest. If it's more of a bespoke waterfall allocation, we reference a rule set that has been built into the app during the onboarding. And of course, lastly, not least, but we really wanted this tool to be customized, and we know how LLCs are so unique to the entity level. So really building a tool that can handle nuances and quirks of your specific use case was definitely top of mind for us. And with that, let's now dive into the demo. Awesome. So the first time you want to make a distribution, you'll head right over to the distributions tab up at the top. And if you haven't made a distribution in the past, you'll have an empty page in which you can start your first distribution by clicking on that button. At that point, we ask for your effective date. That's basically the date that your distribution is calculated. And from there, let's go ahead and choose a date in the past, March 2021. And you just create the distribution from there, in which you get redirected to a page like that. We take your inputs that you already gave us and pre-fill them. And at that point, you just kind of have to input the total amount to distribute. Let's go with $1 million. And from there, the system essentially spits out all of the holder level information. You can also view it at the interest level, the breakdown of your payout amount, as well as invested capital to return. So that's the waterfall method that essentially looks at the rule set that we have modeled into the app. We do support various different types of distributions. Maybe there's a tax distribution that you do annually, which you can set as such. Maybe it's current or profit, or perhaps a sale of your company. Let's try switching to pro rata allocation method, in which we will now start to reference the cap table data that you already have, and you can kind of see how the payout amounts start to change along with outstanding interest and, of course, percentages. You can once again see the holder level and interest level payout, and you can also indicate how much of that payout goes back to the invested capital for that holder. So that's really neat. And then you can also deselect different types of participating units. So let's say you only want to issue interest to your Series A unit holders. You can always simply deselect, and you'll see a lot more of a simpler distribution this time around, just to Autumn Series A Holdco. You put in the description, and let's go ahead and save the draft, at which point it hasn't been released yet. It's still in draft mode, but you're not going to lose any work if for whatever reason you have to go back, or maybe another team member needs to take a look. You can come back into the draft, make any changes that you might need to make. And once you do make any sort of changes, you do unlock the draft. And let's say you change the amount of invested capital to return to $200,000. At which point the draft gets unlocked and you can have a chance to resave the draft. If you want to go ahead and finish, you can authorize for release, finish the draft, and you can notice that the status changes from draft to release in progress. And this is a point at which the system now takes your allocations and inputs the distribution into a dedicated tab of distributions for your holders. So let's go to your holders and look up Autumn Series A Holdco. And then there's going to be a dedicated distributions tab right there that's going to house all of your historical and your current distributions that you just released. If the holder wants to take a greater detailed look at it, they can always click into it and see the more detailed breakdown of their distribution. Let's go back into the distribution that you just released. You can always bulk mark as paid, especially if you have more than one interest holders. You can kind of check all the holders and essentially dedicate a date which you are marking the holders as paid. So let's choose a date a couple of days after the release. And at this point, the payment has been marked paid and the distribution is fully complete. The other places that the distribution also shows up and has an impact is on your cap table directly. So you notice that we returned $200,000 of invested capital in our prior distribution. So we show for Autumn Series A Holdco and any holders the initial invested capital, which was at 4.46 million, and then unreturned invested capital, which is $200,000 less at 4.42 million. And we can also show that at a more granular interest level detail. And for whatever reason you want to export and start to report and do greater analysis, you can also do that, as you can see in invested capital and unreturned invested capital for all the units and all the holders involved. So that is your cap table. The other place that both your admins and your holders can take a look is in the interest detail. So they can come into their interest details and see the summary of invested capital. So initial invested capital that you saw in the cap table, returned, and of course, unreturned invested capital to date. And that's it. Pretty simple, straightforward. And with just a couple inputs and a couple of clicks, you can have various types of calculations for your distributions and hopefully a lot less of a headache. Great. I'll hand it over to Amanda to handle FAQs.